Yo, what is up, whoever's watching this video? Welcome to today's trade recap for myself personally. As you can clearly see, I've got a positive P&L, but I've had to reset the account because I took this trade first. Now, let me just get into the market, the environment we was in today. Firstly, you always start on the higher time frames. Every day I'm going into the market, I'm always starting on the higher time frames. We're in a weekly fair value gap still, so I'm looking to mitigate this, wherever the fuck the word is, I'm looking to fill it basically. So, and not only that, recently we have been shorting. So I've been, today specifically as well, I was more short thing. So first of all, this is like one of the major things of today. We was in an hourly fair value gap. So just keep that in mind during this time. I don't want to make my chart look too messy. Keep scaling down. So like I said, hourly fair value gap. Then this was London highs. From London highs to there, we just like retraced into equilibrium as well, which was a major thing. And then, right, we'll get straight to market open. I actually think this trade was better and literally did play out. The only problem with this trade was massively over risking. So this is the lower 1 minute time frame now. Market opens, but yeah, we manipulate straight into equilibrium, which was honestly what was perfect. It was in an hourly fair value gap in equilibrium. We swept some highs in the fair value gap, which is also perfect. Scaling down time frames because I've been, looking to use these time frames to my advantage more. And then what do we do? So, market opens here, then we manipulate into this 1 minute, then we go higher. If anyone had entered shorts, preemptively to there, we would have swept them out, chopped a bit, after we've just swept a high in the fair value gap and we're in equilibrium. Then, boom, right there, as you can see, we inverse this 30-second fair value gap, this one by here. Inverse that. Does it want to delete? We inverse that, and then what's going on? And then I enter off that. Unfortunately, like I said, I massively over risked. So that is, I lost 1,000 with there, and that was 3 mini contracts on NQ. Holy shit, I didn't even realize how much 3 mini contracts was on NQ, which was the major problem. But today, like I said from yesterday, I made sure to use my journal. And my journal pre-entry commitment today was no emotional trading, because I wanted to improve from yesterday after my serious emotional crash out yesterday. Wanted to improve from that. So I made sure to remind myself, no emotions in the market today. And after I took this trade and got stopped out, I honestly wasn't even phased. I was confident in the trade idea, and the trade idea did work out. We went straight down to the sell side liquidity right there, low resistance. It was perfect. The only problem was over risking, and that is something I've learned today. I'm not going to be trading no 3 minis again, because if I had my perfect stop loss, which would have been up there perfectly, and another thing as well, that would have been my break even point right there. So to hit that would have been break even. But, we would have never got stopped out. So, it's just unfortunate that that's how that trade played out. Now, let me get into my second trade. And, hang on, let me just quickly say that I obviously had to reset the account at this point, because I wasn't emotionally thinking, I was logically thinking, and I was confident that another setup would appear, and it did. So, let me show you my second trade, which is the only trade that really matters, because it's a new funded. Not saying that last trade doesn't matter. It was a great setup, and I'm sure people would have taken it. It's just unfortunate I got stopped out. So this was the second trade I took. I used the 15-second time frame for this. So what is the reason that I longed here? Okay, so we go to the 15-minute time frame. As you can clearly see, there's a imbalance here. That's mainly the key thing. Go back to the 15-second time frame. If we go across, right here was the low resistance liquidity that I was targeting, sell side liquidity. None of these lows had been swept, and that's what I was targeting for the day. So we had just swept them, as you can see. You know, just before I've entered the trade, we just swept them lows, and then on the 15-second time frame, inverse the fair value gap. We inversed it right there, so that would have been the entry if I went off the inversion. But because we made a 1 minute fair value gap here, I let this candle play out, see how I went, and then I let this candle close to see how it goes, because if we had, you know, we might have inversed that and carried on down, but then this is where I entered. And to be fair, I will be honest, I was slightly hesitant to enter, because, you know, I'd just taken a loss and I was thinking, am I thinking logically or am I thinking emotionally? You know, so it was playing out in my mind a bit, but I decided to, you know, just say it out loud. I plainly said out loud, swept low resistance lows in a 15-minute imbalance and then inversion on the lower time frame. Literally a perfect setup, and that trade played out lovely. And why did I close the trade there? Because I actually closed it. Is because I marked out equilibrium. So from that to that, it retraced into equilibrium. And at this point, it hit 1,000. And I remember thinking, I'm just going to take 1,000, because a lot of my trades have been letting play out maybe too long. And, you know, I've got to play the prop firm game, and the prop firm game is making money. So if I can make 1,000 today, then that's good. And, you know, moving forward, then doing the same on other days. So if I'm up 1,000, you know, depending on how confident I am, or depending on the situation, will be depending if I want to exit early and take some money. Because it's better that I took 1,000, because, you know, not that I would have hit my stop loss until literally 1 minute ago. But, you know, taking that 1,000 was a big step for me today. So that's the two trades I took today. So technically 1 win and 1 loss, but the loss caused us to reset the funded. So realistically, it is only 1 win. When I go onto the statistical chart right here, you can clearly see there's just 1 trade in this account, and that's the 1 trade from today. So I'm happy, I suppose. Definitely better from yesterday. Wow, I feel like a different person today. Mainly, it's simply because I journaled and I took it seriously, and that was the best thing I did today. Genuinely good trading. I'm really proud. Get back into the market now tomorrow. You know, making sure I'm journaling before I've even entered, and not over risking. That's the biggest thing for me now. Anyways, hope you lot enjoyed the video. Hope you learned something. Hope you took a good trade. Thanks for watching, and peace out.